The Rolex 24 Hours would have the honour of being the first major race to run at the newly revamped Daytona International Speedway. But the project, known as Daytona Rising, was initiated with stock car racing at the forefront, as the Florida track is truly the home of NASCAR.
Daytona Rising is a $400 million reimagining of this American icon. And this speedway means so much in terms of NASCAR history. Of course, the France family creating it in 1959, and who knew back then that today we'd be the world center of racing. And so for us, we want to become the first and only motorsports stadium. We're going to change the way fans experience racing at Daytona, really for the next generations. It's going to be very impressive when we're all said and done.
In considering this ambitious reimagining of Daytona, Chitwood thought back to the beginnings of NASCAR on Daytona Beach and the leap of faith taken by Bill France 50 years ago.
The beach was used in the early 1900s as a place to test automobiles. Well, in the late 1930s, they were driving on the beaches of Daytona at 275 miles per hour. And so that became too dangerous, and all that went out to the salt flats out in Utah. But they decided to try something different. Let's actually put a race on the beach. And so for 20 years, they were racing on the beach here in Daytona, but then Big Bill France had this idea of creating the Daytona International Speedway. People told him there's no way this will work. NASCAR was not the most popular form of motorsport back then in our country. He took that risk and he built this great property, and here we are now, 50 plus years later. NASCAR is the most popular form of motorsport in our country. Huge TV ratings. It's really significant when you think about the risk and that vision, and here we are and how well it's played out.
So Chitwood and his team wanted to be as bold as Bill France in their efforts to create a proper arena experience.
We could have easily spent money just to bolt on escalators and fix some bathrooms, but that really wouldn't change the experience. So we created this concept of a motorsports stadium. Huge concourses, vertical transportation, brand new seats. It was really changing the way we looked at a speedway, because we could have just fixed stuff, but that really isn't what the future needs for the sport. We need to kind of put our flag in the ground and say we're not going anywhere for 50 years, and we're going to remake the experience.
Safety features have been integral in the refurbishment. Safer barriers were already installed in 2009, but the grandstands have now been set back from the catch fence to avoid fans being injured, as happened when Austin Dillon's car became airborne at the race here last July. But with the 5 impressive new entrances known as injectors and the massive improvement of the race experience for both fans and sponsors, the Daytona Rising project has sought to take the sport to the next level in a crowded sports marketplace.
When you think about it, football, soccer, basketball, they can play even without corporate sponsorship. But Tony Stewart probably will not be on the track unless he has a corporate sponsor on his race cars. And so if you're going to entertain a sponsor, then Daytona is where you want them to come. Well, now that you have this new venue, and it's striking as a grandstand that's 9/10 of a mile long, I can't imagine the sponsors not going to have their mouth hit the floor and be in awe of what we've done. And we're going to continue to really do a great job for the fans. I think from a driver perspective, a team perspective, a fan perspective, we're going to hit all the right notes to make sure that we have a good plan for decades to come.